Welcome to this practice. This practice is being taught as a part of our yoga psychology course. So the practices demonstrated here are practices that you could do in a clinical setting with appropriate training. It means that you don't need to be on the floor to do the practice. You could be in a seated format if that is how you and your clients work together. You could do these practices online with a client. You could do the practice in person with a client. As you go through the practice, take notice of the techniques. You'll hear me discuss different qualities of pranayama. One is called Brahmana, which means a building quality. One is called Langhana, which means a pacifying or soothing quality. And the third quality mentioned in the last portion of the practice is called Samana, which means a balancing kind of practice. Along the way, notice the influence on yourself and imagine for which clients these practices could be useful. It is always helpful for you to have proper and durable training. So not just from this video and then whimsically plopping it into a session with a client, but proper training over a period of time. If you're interested in this kind of training, please check the website for the yoga psychology training and our other teacher training programs as well. If this video is helpful to you, please click the like button. It's good feedback for me. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. That way you'll get notifications when new videos come out. And it's always great to see your questions and comments below the video too. Okay, enjoy the practice. Good morning, everyone. Welcome. So I want to review for a few moments the process of how we get to pranayama as a recommendation in the Yoga Sutras. So we have learned in the sutras that there are 9 hindrances. And these 9 hindrances have qualities that either will take our dorsal vagal system down or our sympathetic nervous system up. For example, lethargy, apathy, those are downers on the system. Self-doubt and vacillation could be sympathetic arousal, or they could prevent us from moving forward, kind of a dorsal vagal, always postponing, procrastinating, never taking the next step because of pervasive self-doubt. Those are some of the hindrances. There are 9 listed in the Yoga Sutras. What Patanjali tells us is that we can have those 9 hindrances and then the corresponding 4 symptoms, which are irregular breathing, pain in the body, restlessness in the mind, or dullness of the mind. And the solutions recommended, the remedies, include the Brahma Viharas, compassion, loving kindness, sympathetic joy or appreciative joy, and equanimity. The solutions also include pranayama and meditation. So we're going to take a look at this pranayama practice this morning. How do we do some practices that are called Brahmana? So they raise us from a dorsal vagal slump, and some practices that are called Langana. They calm us down from a sympathetic arousal. So those 2 words again are Brahmana and Langana. So I sometimes remember Brahmana as the builder because the Brahman cow is revered in India. So Brahmana is that raising up of your energy or tonifying. Langana, I sometimes remember because we like to lengthen the exhale. So a longer exhale is a Langana practice. And that means that it's cooling, calming, or soothing. It brings us down. So if we're sympathetically aroused, we need to come back into a place of being grounded or centered. We do Langana practices. If we are dull and apathetic and fatigued and we don't feel like meditating, we can't get the mind to be present, we ate too much pizza, we're on the sofa, we do Brahmana practices. Okay, so that's a little discourse. Let's take a comfortable seat, please, and rest your hands in your lap. You're welcome to close your eyes. And it's possible that you've been having both sympathetic and dorsal vagal experiences. You might have them intermingled in your life. That is very common. So setting aside our discussion, let yourself drop in. And drop into that in you, which is neither succumbing to dorsal vagal nor hijacked by sympathetic arousal. You could imagine that you're dropping into that in you, which is like a clear presence. In yoga, we might refer to it in the subtle body as the central channel or the Sushumna Nadi. And you could picture that also as if it were a lighthouse, and the lights in this lighthouse on the system of the chakras. The most important light, of course, being at the top of the lighthouse, as with any other lighthouse, but the lighthouse tender does climb the spiral staircase, and each of the lights in the lighthouse can be turned on. So picture your breath moving up and down the central channel, bringing light and presence. First chakra, second, third, and so on. And as you arrive more and more in a connection with this inner lighthouse, let's picture that, as it were, the boats in the harbor, and those boats representing illness, lethargy, apathy, doubt, vacillation, overindulgence, negligence, regression, misperception, all the hindrances and more. And imagine you can add to those hindrances the inauspicious mind states of greed, anger, delusion. Let's just picture those boats in the harbor. As you connect to this inner lighthouse, those boats are moving out into the bay, giving some space. So your lighthouse self becomes more clear, and the boats actually become more spacious, and we can see them with more perspective. We might imagine for this morning that pranayama practice is the practice of nourishing the lighthouse tender, that in us, which is tending to this lighthouse or this vital body and this clarity of mind and heart, so that we can actually address the boats in the harbor as needed. But to address those boats, it's really helpful to have perspective. So we're asking those boats to just move out a ways in the harbor, and the pranayama will clear the fog, whatever fog is there between the lighthouse and the boats, causing those boats to come closer in, like, where's the lighthouse? So we're going to clear that fog and create the equanimity of mind and heart from which we can then address things like lethargy, doubt, overindulgence, negligence, greed, anger, and delusion, and so on. To be clear, greed, anger, and delusion are not considered in the 9 hindrances. They are the 3 malas, the 3 inauspicious mind states. So please raise your hands to your heart and appreciate your efforts to come to practice. And you may bow your head to your heart. Release your hands, and as you're sitting, sit so that your cross-legged seat, the knees are wider, which could be Simhasana versus Sukhasana. Sukhasana, we cross the ankles. Simhasana, we line the ankles up, something like this, one in front of the other. So the knees are wider. and make the hands taut there. Okay. Pull up. So it's like having the center of the circus tent. You're going to pull up through the crown of the skull. And then inhale, raise your heart, open your throat, lift your chin, actively slide the lower jaw forward of your upper jaw. And then exhale, bring your chin down towards the base of your throat or the sternoclavicular notch. Now again, inhale to go up and slide the lower jaw forward of your upper jaw. Exhale, bring your chin down towards the base of the throat. So just addressing right now the throat, the neck, you could say the vagus nerve. Inhale to go back up. And exhale, curl down one more time. Now we're going to change our pathway a little bit. Inhale to go up. And exhale, go to your right. Inhale to center. Exhale, go left. Inhale to center. Exhale, curl your chin down towards the base of your throat. We're going to go up again, same thing. So inhale, raise up, open your heart and your throat. Exhale, go right. Inhale to center. Exhale, go left. Inhale to center. And exhale, bring your chin down. Let's bring the head to neutral. And then inhale, rotate right. Stay to the right. As you exhale, turn your gaze to the right with your eyes closed. Inhale, rotate to your left. Exhale, gaze to your left with the eyes closed. Inhale to your right. Exhale, gaze right, eyes closed. Keep the left shoulder back. Inhale, left. Exhale, gaze left and press the right shoulder back. Do that one more time, please. Inhale, rotate your head to your right. Press the left shoulder back. Exhale your gaze to your right. Inhale, rotate your head to your left. Press the right shoulder back. Exhale, gaze to your left. And then simply come to center. Rest your hands in your lap, perhaps in the center of your pelvis or the low belly. And notice just a few minutes of vagal tone practice intended to raise your energy to the present moment. So if you were lethargic or apathetic, fatigued, this can bring a little bit of light to the lighthouse. And if you were overwhelmed or ungrounded, it's possible that you just released some of that excess agitation and you might also feel more connected. And then please open your eyes for a moment. We're going to connect here. So in this next practice, we're just doing a few things right now in the beginning that's going to address vagal tone. And then in the next practice that we'll do, we're going to be using lion's breath because it's a really wonderful spring cleansing breath. And we're in the kapha season right now. It's also helpful for the suppressed emotion that cause people to feel either they're holding in at a dorsal vagal protective mechanism, or they're running about. The suppressed emotions can cause a disconnect where the body is dull, but the mind is racing. So we can experience either anxiety or depression from that. And often we're then overexpressing different kinds of emotions, but they aren't the core emotions that are really held in. We might be overexpressing emotions of frustration, irritation, anger, like third chakra raising up, because we could be disconnected from other held emotions, second chakra, first chakra. The lion's breath is helpful for this purpose. We're going to include in lion's breath, this is a variation of how we do it. We're going to include squeezing the face towards the nose. So it's called like being a raisin, like that. And then you have the lion's breath, which is big eyes, open the mouth, stick the tongue out, make a sigh or a roar. When we're squeezing the face like a raisin, we're going to make two fists. These are your paws. When we open for lion's breath, we're going to make two sets of claws. Okay, so place your fists on your knees. Yeah. And make them into fists. Okay, and then we're going to inhale, take the head up. We'll exhale for lion's breath when we're up. And then we're going to inhale, squeeze the nose towards the center, squeeze everything to center. And then we'll exhale and do lion's breath forward. Okay, so like this. Let's inhale to go up. Lion's breath. Now inhale, squeeze your face towards your nose. And come forward with lion's breath. And then inhale to go up. Inhale, squeeze like a raisin. Exhale forward. Inhale, raising up. Inhale, squeeze like a raisin. Exhale forward. And then rest. Notice, of course, the effect on yourself, but also notice it might be a helpful thing to do with a client before going more deeply into a session. So some of these practices we could do to help a client upon arrival, to get some of the yayas out, and then to be more present with the deeper content that they want to work with. This kind of practice can also take the edge off during the day, so someone isn't constantly, perpetually put into states of high arousal that they can't manage. So we'll do one more technique that kind of blows off energy. This is in the Bastrika family. So we'll do 10 strong breath cycles. Then we'll have an inhale, hold, and we'll have an exhale to release. And each of these practices you can do as like a miniature little set. And somebody might need just these few minutes to get more present with themselves or with you before diving into a session. Okay, so this is 10 strong breath cycles, in through the nose, out through the nose, and then a full exhale, full inhale, suspension, and then a long exhale. Okay, so like this. Now inhale really slowly. Imagine going up the lighthouse to the very top, and then you're going to have inhale, suspension. Release the bandhas when you're ready to. And exhale slowly and thoughtfully. And even imagine it like cleaning the windows of the lighthouse. You're cleaning the view should be more clear. And now we'll do this one more time. Exhale completely. Then inhale slowly. Release the bandhas and exhale smoothly and completely. Now we'll do a formal pranayama that is Brahmana. This is a 3-part inhale. And we're going to adapt it to start as if you're working with beginners. That you'll have the first third, middle third, upper third of the inhale. And then we'll exhale, bring the hands down to the heart. And we'll start again. So there won't be any suspensions in between. Okay, so in this process, those 3 portions of the breath are first third distinctly, middle third distinctly, upper third. And you have to lift the rib cage and the collarbones to get there. Arms out to the side. We'll use the Ujjayi breath. Okay. So at your own timing, of course, inhale and do about 1/3 of your breath. Continually go to the next third of the breath, mid-torso. Continually go to the upper third of the breath. And then Ujjayi exhale, bring your hands down in front of your heart. Those are the mechanics. Let's see now if we could inhale each part of the breath for about 3 counts, which is a total of 9 counts for the inhale, without any pauses or interruptions in between. And see if you might get 9 counts for the exhale. You're going to count your 3s and your 9s at your own pace here, so it's not necessary to be in tandem with me. Do this twice more, please. So pause to notice the influence. Now we'll practice segmenting the inhale. So we'll do inhale, momentary pause, inhale, momentary pause, inhale, momentary pause, and then exhale. Again, I recommend you count to about 3 for each of those parts of the breath, so you can count to 9 during the exhale. And take the arms out to the side and go at your own pace. We'll do 3 times. And pause again to notice the influence. And now what we're going to do is make a more formal pause in the segments of the breath. So we'll do inhale for 3, pause for 3, inhale 3, pause 3, inhale 3, pause for 3. In that upper pause for 3, you'll have a full sense of the inhale in the body. You are still going to be using the bandhas. Because your arms are overhead, it won't look so much like Jalandhara Bandha, but you do use the bandhas for each of those little suspensions. Then you release the bandhas before you exhale, and you want to release that without gasping. So then you'll exhale for 9, coming back down to the pause here. Okay, so arms out to the side. And of course, again, pacing yourself at your own timing. So you inhale for 3 and then pause for 3. And then you'll inhale for 3 and pause for 3. And at your timing, the upper inhale for 3, you have to lift the ribs and the collarbones, and then pause for 3 using the bandhas. And then you'll exhale for 9 counts, counting that at your own pace. And we'll do this 3 times, so twice more at your own timing. And then again, you can relax and notice the influence. And imagine if you might have come into the practice from like a dorsal vagal slump, which is what I call it. How might you be feeling now? Or perhaps you sense the lighthouse. The lights are on, the boat's in the harbor, we have perspective, we have some space for our mindfulness or meditation practice. If you notice the influence on yourself, you can think of this as a practice. It's beneficial to you, perhaps between clients or sessions, also for your own meditation, but perhaps helpful for a client to arrive and to have this kind of resource that they can use in daily life also. So now we'll be doing a Langhana practice, something that's calming. This one can be done in daily life. We'll do it first because it's a very casual practice, and then we'll do a formal Langhana Pranayama practice. And this is called physiological sighing. So you'll have a pretty big inhale and then a little sip of an inhale on top of that, like an apostrophe. And then you exhale and sigh. And you can sigh out the mouth or you can sigh out the nose, whatever you prefer. So it goes like this. Okay, so at your own timing, let's do 5 physiological sighs together. Of course, in your own timing, but we'll be doing them at the same time. And each time you can just sense. You don't have to rush to the next inhale, just sense when it's going to be the right time for it. Okay. One more, perhaps. And then take notice what it feels like. Possibly you'll feel a little bit swimmy. in your head because you're adjusting O2 CO2 ratios. You might feel more relaxed. You could feel like a little bit sleepy. Now also in the line of helping somebody to disarm a sympathetic arousal, we can do this practice. And again, sitting in a clinical setting, you could do this practice, or they could do it in their office or with a dining room chair. It doesn't have to be that people sit cross-legged on the floor. But what we're going to be doing is we'll inhale and we're going to count the pace of the in-breath. We can use the Ujjayi breath. And then we'll exhale. We're going to bow forward during the exhale. So if someone is sitting in a chair or on the couch, whatever it is, they can put their hands on the knees. You're going to exhale to bow forward. And the point of the bow forward on the exhale is to help squeeze the breath out and also squeeze the lower belly. So we're going to be coming back down into this called lower dantian in Chinese practice, and in yoga towards the hara, and even deeper than that into the low abdomen, apana vayu, the downward flow of energy. Okay, so the exhale is going to be longer than the inhale, even if that's just 2 counts. So let's try inhale for 6, exhale for 8. You're going to count that pace for yourself. Could be inhale 4, exhale 6 if you prefer lower numbers. And so let's try it together the first time, and then you'll go on your own 5 times all together. Now exhale, Ujjayi breath as you come forward. Squeeze the breath out like you're squeezing a sponge. And inhale, push down against your knees and rise back up to your seat. At your own pace, exhale to come forward. For the last exhale, you can do that upright, seeing if you can maintain the length of the longer exhale relative to the inhale. And then come to rest again. Relax the breath completely and simply notice the influence. Those are formal kind of Langhana practices that you can do with someone. Once they learn how to have the exhale be longer than the inhale without forcing it, then they can do it just sitting up. So they might do it like on a bus, on a plane, on a train, on a boat. in a moat, wherever they are. So now we're going to do a practice that is more balancing. It's called Sama when we balance. So Samana is a balancing, Brahmana is energizing, Langana is reducing or pacifying. So in this, it's called Nadi Shodhana. Inhale one nostril, exhale the other. Inhale, exhale back and forth. If somebody needs this to be a Brahmana practice, you make the inhale longer than the exhale. If they need it to be a Langana practice, you can make the exhale longer than the inhale. If we want it to be for Samana, we balance inhale with exhale, which is what we'll be doing here. So bring the first two fingers into the center of your palm. Fortunately, the pandemic has made nostril breathing, alternate nostril breathing, and these other practices much more normalized. So you could actually do this with clients in a clinical setting. So you bring the fingers in, rest your thumb and your ring finger on the bridge of the nose, right where the bone becomes cartilage, without pressing super firmly and without any ujjayi breathing. Begin with inhale, left nostril. In your own timing, you'll exhale right nostril. You probably already have. And so at your own pace, alternate the nostrils after the inhalation. We'll finish with the next exhale through the left nostril. And release your hands back to your lap and notice again the influence. You could check in with the 4 symptoms, 4 companions to the 9 obstacles. Those are irregular breathing, a painful body, restlessness of the mind, dullness of the mind. Allow for the possibility of mental stillness. Be present with the quality of equanimity for the mind. If needed, you may request of the boats in the harbor to stay out in the bay so your meditation is not interrupted by them. Please raise your hands to your heart. with appreciation for your practice and the tradition of yoga, also acknowledging our teachers and our teachers' teachers. You may bow your head to your heart. Thank you, everyone. Namaste. Okay, so a little debrief after the practice here. I made choices in the practice based on a clinical setting. So we didn't stand up particularly, we didn't go down to the floor, we weren't lying down. Each thing could be done from a seated position. You're going to decide client by client, student by student, patient by patient, what is an appropriate technique to offer to them. Now, again, consider that you do need proper training, and right here you're getting a practice, and we're on YouTube, so you could have access to thousands of practices. But having the depth of training and understanding will help you to know when to make certain choices with your clients, your students, or your patients. In this practice, you saw along the way several different variations of pranayama, and you saw the names of those pranayamas as well. They're listed on the banner across the bottom of the video. Let me know if you have any questions about choices that I made. Like, I was specifically going through Brahmana practices after having some vagal tone experiences. So bringing somebody into a receptive kind of equanimitous possibility before they do a building practice, that could be helpful. Some people were never comfortable feeling like grounded. It might feel like depression. So for them to do Langana practices, we want that to feel to them like equanimity, ease, peace of mind, not reflecting depression. Now, on the other hand, sometimes people will do a Langana practice and realize that they are deeply, deeply tired, dreadfully fatigued. And that has a number of implications. It could be psychological fatigue, or carrying around the pain body, as Eckhart Tolle calls it, or having a lot of stored trauma in the body that they don't know about, or running on fumes with their adrenal system. And so as you bring them to that Langana practice, it's really helpful if it feels like peace, even if they're recognizing that they're deeply tired. They could have peace of mind about that, and then quite likely make better choices about what to do in that circumstance. Okay, so this is just a quick debrief of the practice and some like clinical notes behind the scenes. Let me know if you have questions. I'd be glad to answer those on the YouTube comments. You also can check the website for upcoming teacher trainings and other opportunities to learn this stuff as a clinical opportunity, not just as a personal yoga practice, but how do you apply it in a clinical setting? Okay, thanks so much. Namaste. Don't forget to subscribe, by the way. You're going to get notifications when new practices come out, and that'll help us to also be in connection with you. And click like for videos that work for you, because that's good feedback for me too. Okay, now I say bye and see you next time.